Welcome back to another episode of Inside Dobe. Sorry for the delay, but Wednesday seems to be probably the best day to get it done with work. A little bit more busy on Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of a slower day on Wednesday. Plus, it gives me a little bit more time to go over some of the games that I missed on the weekend, as I didn't watch all of them in one go. Now, dating back to Thursday night's game last week, Melbourne versus Port Adelaide, the Demons got the job done as you would expect. But what a very, very weak performance it was from Port Adelaide. The first time in the club's history they had not registered a goal in the first half. They were appalling when going inside 50, only kicking 4 goals for the match, 3 of which being very, very late junk time goals. So don't read into that too much. Port Adelaide were terrible. They were disgusting. The worst performance I've seen them put out so far this year, and they've had a few shockers. Never knew how much Charlie Dixon meant to this team. The Port Bigs, Todd Marshall and Mitch Georgiades, the Greek pizza on the night, were absolutely manhandled by Lever and May in all aspects of the game. To create further concern, Ollie Wines, the reigning Brownlow medalist, went out with some heart problems, which what seemed to be some heart problems, so that isn't a good sign. Ken Hinkley is on the hottest of seats. Now, I've been calling for this since after the first round for Ken Hinkley to be axed before halfway through the season. They are on bottom of the ladder. I don't think anyone saw this at the start of the season, but they are going to be versing a Blues team this week that are going to want to really bounce back after that shocking loss against Gold Coast, which I will touch on in a little bit. But look, Melbourne are in cruise control. Book them in right now for a prelim final. They are going to start to roll through the rest of the competition. I feel they haven't really started to get going as of yet. You look at some of their stats so far compared to last time this year where they were winning. They're just very much in cruise control. Their next 4 to 5 weeks, they've got GWS, Richmond, Hawthorn, St Kilda, and West Coast. I think they roll through all of them. They'd be very unlikely to lose one of them. Look, maybe Melbourne, Richmond match up against them, but I reckon that they get through every one of those other teams very, very comfortably. Melbourne will finish on top, head and shoulders above every team in the rest of the competition so far at this point of the season, and it is more than showing. Now the next game, Geelong and Brisbane. Look, a great game of footy, a very back and forth contest. It was pretty much goal for goal all night. Now, Geelong is one of the hardest teams to pick for a same gamer. I'll tell you what, you pick Hawkins one week to kick 2 goals and he's behind the bar pouring beers. The next week you pick Cameron to try and kick some goals. He doesn't get near it, and then Hawkins pops up and kick 5. Now, I've had a shocker when trying to bet on them. I think almost everyone else has. But they seem to keep getting it done, the Cats. Isaac Smith was elite with 29 touches. Looked to get back some of that form that he was in when he was back at Hawthorn. Now, Lockie Neal was ranked 5th best on the ground for fantasy points, but he was definitely one of the most biggest influential players on the game. I think he's having an unbelievable season. He had 30 disposals and another 11 clearances. I don't think the Cats put any time into him. He's having a huge year. I think he might be able to start to crack the Sharks' top 5 Brownlow list over the next few weeks, and he might feature a little bit higher on Jev's pyramid also. He's having an outstanding season. Brisbane definitely bounced back this week. They have Collingwood tomorrow night at the Gabba. They will be winning that by 6 to 8 goals. I do not rate Collingwood in the slightest. Brisbane were there for pretty much most of the game, but just couldn't get it done. The big Hawk kicking 5 late. Like I said, you just don't know who to bet on when you are looking at betting on a goal kicking market for the Geelong Cats. Now, speaking about betting, so the next game we have Swans and North. Not knowing about where to invest your money was me this entire round. I had an absolute shocker on the punt. The line for this game was 41.5 points. I said that I was going to take North at the line. I didn't. That would have cashed very easily. So I missed out on that one. And then also, as well as missing out on that, I proceeded to back the leading Coleman medalist at the time, Nick Larkey, for 2 Suvalakis. He didn't get near it. He must have ordered a pie. Instead, you have Todd Goldstein kicking 2 and fucking Jack Zeeble popping up and kicking 5. I think he was paying 37 to 1 to kick 4 goals. He's kicked 5. He's been playing fullback all year. I just couldn't believe it. I thought Larkey would at least popped up, so I had a shocker on that game. In terms of the actual contest itself, it was a really good arm wrestle. And look, they say the cream rises to the top. And Isaac Keeney kicking 2 of the last 3 goals of the match and then put the icing on the cake for the Bloods. Look, there are no style points in this league. You just need to win and you need to get yourself into those finals. Isaac Heaney is a headache for pretty much every team in the competition. I think North did a really good job at trying to contain him for the first 3 quarters. But then once the last quarter came around, he really injected himself into the contest, got his hands on the footy and just iced the game for the Swans. Now, the official player rankings for the top 25 players so far this year has just been released for the first 4 games of the season, and I cannot wait for Jev to have a field day with this on the 100k pod this week, because Isaac Heaney ranks as the number 1 player so far for this current season. Now, Jev copped a lot of flack for Isaac Heaney being up there too high. Didn't have the best game against the Bulldogs, but I'll tell you what, he bounced back, and he's been rated the number 1 player in the competition so far this year. So I'm going to let Jev touch on that a little bit more later in the week in the 100k podcast. The next game, we had Collingwood and West Coast. Now, there are a few things in life that make me very happy. Steak cooked really well on a barbecue. When you find out you get a free bonus bet in your sports bet account. And seeing Collingwood get done and absolutely rolled by a waffle team under the lid. Saturday Arvo at Marvel, the Pies got done by the Wuhan Eagles. This is a team that has been absolutely riddled with COVID outbreaks, has been riddled with injuries. Only 4 players for West Coast have played all 4 games so far this year. They have rolled through 38 players so far in the first 4 games, and the Eagles still got it done against a Collingwood side playing at home, pretty much running at full tilt, and they could not get it done. Couldn't be more happier for West Coast. There's nothing I love seeing more than Collingwood absolutely shitting the bed in what they did on Saturday afternoon. On a positive note though, Nick Dacos is an absolute freak, racking up another 32 disposals. Look, he's honestly just taking the piss at this point. I think his brother Josh had 28 as well. Nick got nominated for the Rising Star Award 2 weeks ago. They should have just given him the trophy then and there. He's head and shoulders above every young prospect so far this year in the AFL. He's dominating. You'd think he'd be his 5th year in the competition. Look, who knows when his next contract is going to be, but it is going to have a lot of zeros on the end of it. As I said at the start of the year, the Pies won't make the top 8. They'll get found out by the good teams. They even got found out by one of the worst teams currently in the AFL, in the West Coast Eagles. So well done to West Coast. And the Pies have another tough ask this week. Thursday night at the Gabba, like I did say before. The Lions will be looking to clap back after that loss to the Cats. Look for them to absolutely pump Collingwood. Collingwood are going to shit the bed. They're not going to get near it. Lions by 6 to 8 goals, and I'm going to be one very happy man. Now, the next game, we had Richmond versus the Bulldogs. The Tigers winning by 36 points, and they did look like the Tigers of old. 8 of the top 11 top possession ball winners on the ground were all Western Bulldogs players. So you had Dunkley that had 37, Smith had 36, McRae 34, Bont had 33, Dale 31, Caleb Daniel had 26, Treloar 24, and Libba had 23. Look, so they don't have a problem with getting their hands on the footy. They just can't kick a goal and they can't finish. They end up finishing the game with 19 behinds, which will not win you too many games of footy in this league. It has been their Achilles heel all year. They couldn't finish their chances against the Blues. They couldn't finish it off when the Blues started to turn it over against that. Finishing the game with 13 goals, 12. And they should have blown the Swans away in round 3. Finished the game with 9 goals, 17 to Sydney's 9 goals, 6. Now, losing to Richmond's 15 goals, 9 and 19 goals, 7. They still had a lot more shots on goal. If you're the Dogs this week at training, don't worry about doing any drills. Just park yourself inside forward 50, grab yourself a bag of balls, and absolutely have at it. Now, Jack Riewoldt showed them how it was done, kicking a barrel from outside 50 on the 3/4 time siren. Now, that thing was an absolute sack of wheat that he hit. It wasn't too high, but it rolled through, showing him how it's done. Now, the Dogs need to show up this week on Good Friday football. They've seemed to really like this contest over the last few years. Absolutely pantsing North Melbourne last year by over 100. Big Josh Bruce, I think, kicked 10 or 11 goals. But if they lose to North Melbourne this week, oh boy, they are in trouble. You can put a line through them not making the finals this year. If that is the case, they are having so much trouble up forward. Teams are finding them out. They can get their hands on it, but they are just not converting the Dogs. And you just don't know what you're going to get with the Tigers. They're 1 week on, 1 week off. But yeah, the Doggies look for a really good contest because North showed a little bit on the weekend. And if they get up, the Dogs are in trouble. The next game, GWS and Freo. I did not watch this game. Freo got it done at home as you would have thought they would. Now, Leon Cameron will not be coaching at the Giants next year. I think it's his 10th year at the club. That will officially be done at the end of this season. All you need to know about this game is you just need to continue betting on Andrew Brayshaw and Tim Taranto. They are both death taxes and 25 touches. They've been amazing for us on the 100K podcast so far this year. So continue to back them, continue to put them into your multis. But that's all you need to know. GWS are making finals. Leon Cameron is done, and Freo are continuing just to roll on through nicely at this part of the season. Now, on to our Sunday slate of games, Essendon versus Adelaide. The Bombers finally get a win for the first time this year, but it was not easy. Now, look, I know I've been extremely harsh on the Bombers. I've been extremely harsh on Bet Rutten, but this just proves my point that he should not be the coach at Windy Hill. Okay, enter Blake Caracella, the man that is responsible for the Bombers getting the win over the Crows. Caracella is the spark plug that the Bombers needed, and the boys rallied around him and absolutely played their skins off for that man. Taylor Walker, he was elite in his return. Also, Rochelle put together another unbelievable performance, kicking 2 for himself. They both combined for 7 goals under the lit up forward and looked very promising as they did go inside forward 50. The Bombers had a lot of trouble. They only just scraped away with that win. Now, look, the Bombers are looking to make it 2 in a row this week against Freo. We know Freo don't travel that well. Stringer should be looking to come back into the side for the Bombers, so you'd expect him to have a massive game, expect him to kick a few goals. But I'll tell you what, if there is one team that you would bring to your funeral, it would be the Bombers, so they could let you down one more time. I'll tell you what, I do not trust this team at all. If Rutten is back coaching this week, don't look for them to pencil them in for the win. Look for Truck to be on the way out at the end of this season and look for Blake Caracella in because the Bombers look like a different side with him at the helm. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't trust the Bombers this week against this Fremantle Dockers side coming into Melbourne. The second last game of the week, Hawks and the Saints. I'll tell you what, I did not expect this from the Saints at all. A 69-point dinner for 2 victory for the Saints in a very, very impressive performance. They had 6 multiple goal scorers, in which 4 of them all kicked 4. So you had Gresham, Membry, Hill, and Maxi King all kicking 4. I believe that is the Saints' ceiling. They are not going to get any better than that. That will be their best performance all year. They will not play a better 4 quarters than that. Watching the Hawks the week before, I thought they would have been a lot more competitive. The Saints obviously prepared for the way the Hawks bring it up the ground and set up really well behind the ball, and the Hawks just couldn't get it going at all. But that has to be the blueprint for the way the Saints play. Win the ball very tight in the middle, and then the way they shared it round up forward, having multiple goal scorers, has to be the way that they have to continue to win these games. Now, look, I don't mind watching the Saints win. I've got a lot of Nuffy Saints fans that are around me. So when they get up and about, it's pretty funny. Plus, it should set up for a very big clash in the middle of the year against the Blues. Now, coming off to the last game of the year, which is the Blues, Carlton versus Gold Coast at Metricon. This is our fucking kryptonite match every year. Gold Coast at Metricon. Now, I was sitting on the couch on Sunday, feeling a bit sorry myself after having a few too many the night before, and I thought, what could cheer me up more than a zinger box on a Sunday? And that is the Blues absolutely toweling up the Suns and pumping them by 100 points at Metricon. So the match starts, I'm feeling pretty good. Kerno kicks the first goal with inside 30 seconds. Perfect. Absolute perfect start, the way the Blues wanted to start it. I'm starting to feel a little bit better, starting to get up and about. No more than 2 minutes later, Paddy Cripps takes a mark inside 50, goes back and slots it. One of the best set shots you'll see all year. Perfect. The Blues are off to an absolute hot start. I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to sit up and about. I was laying down at this stage. I'm sitting up. I'm feeling good. And then I see Paddy Cripps grab his hammy, and then I instantly start to feel sick after that. It was the beginning of the end as soon as Paddy Cripps went down, the best player on our team. Now, I said it last week. Touk Miller has been averaging 30 touches for the good part of a year. The Giants put some work into him, tagged him, cooled him, whatever you want to say. He only had 17 touches against GWS, didn't get near it. They could not get going when he didn't get the footy. So you think that would have to have been the blueprint. That would have been the number one thing you wrote on the board so far this week. Vossi writes, boys, we tag Touk, we win the game. That's why we acquired players like George Hewitt to come in, who that was pretty much his role at the Swans, starting off with a really good tagger and then a rebound player after that. And we did not put anyone to him. They got it done. And also having Pitnet out hurt us so bad. Jared Witts mopped Metricon with Tom De Koning. If you want to see one of the biggest mismatches in AFL history, you go back and watch that game. He absolutely little boy Tom De Koning, in what was one of the biggest lessons he would have ever had in his life. Witts was everywhere. He was tapping it down. He had it on a silver platter to players like Touk Miller, Noah Anderson, Lockie Weller. And Raul didn't even really play that well. And they just dominated the Blues in every asset of that game. It was one of the weakest performances I've seen from Carlton. It was like watching the Blues from last year. I was very disappointed. But, hey, that's just another week in footy. Hey, we scratch up that loss. The Blues are going to rebound this week. Don't dwell on that for too much longer. Paddy Cripps, his hamstring seems to be all right. Potentially could play this week. I hope he doesn't. Sit him out, because we are versing a very, very poor Port Adelaide side this week. That will be Sunday afternoon, 1:10 at the MCG. As far as I'm aware, everyone's got the day off on Monday, so make sure you get down there. It is going to be an absolute bloodbath. The Blues are going to rein it back. Port Adelaide suck balls. Carlton are going to be unreal. We're going to get it done. A massive slate of footy this week. So much more to bet on. The 100K boys are getting close, and the biggest thing is that the Patreon, the 100K Punters Club, is starting this week. So you can go onto our Instagram, click on the link. You can sign up. It's only $10 a week. The more members that we have, the less legs we have to put on, the more money that we have to bet with, the more chance we have, and you have at winning a slice of 100K. So that is Inside Dope for another week. Wednesdays will be the day in which we're going to get the podcast rolling. Let's have a hell of a week. A shit ton of footy to bet on this week. Let's win some money. Let's go.